That was Dots on the Shelves from Yothu Yindi. And you're here on Afternoon Tea with Gilly Magee, and I'm talking with Mick Woiwod, who has just recently written a new book. Out of his 21 books he's written, most about the Yarra Valley. This book's called Paradise Lost, on and around the Great Moorool. Mick, what is the Great Moorool?
Yes, well, it's something that is long since gone. Today, if it was still here, the studio would be on the shores of the Great Moorool, but the same would apply if you're down there at Lilydale or Mooroolbark, Yarra Glen. There today, all those towns are dotted around what had once been the Great Moorool.
Is it like a lake or
it's a lake? Yes.
A lake, yeah.
A lake about 20 kilometres long, and of course when they settled all the towns, they come up out of the floodplain or a little bit of a rise, so they would put them on the shores today. So, not much said about the Great Moorool these days. It's typical of most local histories. They deal about the white settlement days and ever since, and they don't look back very frequently into a past world. I mean, if you were to put the human occupation of the Yarra Valley on a 24-hour clock, we arrived 8 minutes to midnight.
Yes.
So that's put you in the picture.
Oh, but that makes us like really amazing, because only amazing people come late. Mick, how did you find out about the Great Moorool, and were there stories? Were there people who told you stories?
Yes, there are always stories, because that's one of the other furphies that people believe that we don't know much about that world back there, but people like William Burrick and many others, they talked about them in their lifetime, and there's always somebody writing them down, might be letters back home or into the newspapers and books.
Okay.
And so that's where the records are. The two databases I read last year, they're just the research material for the Yarra Valley. 600 pages of very concentrated information.
Goodness me.
And so, how do we know about it? Well, William Burrick had an uncle, Billy Balleary. He was the clan head back in the 1830s.
And was he related to Simon Wonga as well?
Yes, well, Simon Wonga was Billy Balleary's son.
Okay.
William Burrick was his nephew.
Oh, right.
So that's how close they were today.
Yeah.
And like William, Billy Balleary was a very wise man, whilst most of his generation chose to confront the white settlement. He did very early on. He realised that you're not going to win spears against guns. Don't do it. Better to win a few things along the way. That was Billy Balleary. He died in 1846. It's a long time ago. But before he died, he told a story. The story was how the Yarra River was created. Okay, so it's a Dreamtime story. And most people have taken it as being a Dreamtime story.
As in mythical, as in not true.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's
well,
I have a sneaking suspicion.
most of our myths have an element of truth into them.
Yeah.
So anyway, Billy Balleary said, well, back in the Dreamtime, the Wurundjeri people weren't very happy. Too much of the land was occupied with water, and they turned to the Dreamtime spirits and said, well, we'd like to have a bit more land and less water. One of those heroes stepped forward and with his stone tomahawk and said, what's the problem? Oh, we want to drain this water away. Oh, I said, I'll fix that. I'll dig a channel with a stone axe and down to the Bunurong country, which is where Port Phillip Bay is today. And Billy Balleary, way back in 1846, went on to explain that in those days, Port Phillip Bay was dry land. It was the hunting ground of the Bunurong people.
Right.
Okay. Mo Yarra set to with his stone axe and he cut a channel. And that was the Yarra. And the water was all drained away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, okay. So, you can say what the Dreamtime story. Well, 100 years later, they were still laughing at Billy Balleary saying Port Phillip Bay dry land. He's got rocks in his head. 140 years later, they're still laughing at him. And then about 150 years ago, they realised, hello, the geologist says, Portsmouth Bay was dry land 2,800 years ago.
Oh my goodness. So have those stories actually survived 2,800 years down
No,
the
well, I
Gilly
thought, well, that's pretty hard to believe.
Yeah.
Well, they can, but you know, it's stretching it a bit far. But then 2 years ago, the lead geologist at Melbourne University, they did more work on the way, and they made the announcement. Portsmouth Bay was dry land around about 900 to 1,000 years ago. That brings you back to, you know, a thing that the story could have survived at that period.
Yes.
Then I went out looking for hunting for the Great Moorool, and of course you can find it. Because it's rather remarkable today, in 2013, there's a town in the Yarra Valley called Mooroolbark.
That's right, I was thinking about that.
Land of the Moorool. So,
is that what Mooroolbark means?
That's what
land
it
of the
translates,
Moorool.
Land of the Moorool. And there are a lot of other indications of it. So after doing further research and looking at what the other geologists say, yes, the floodplain of the Yarra is what we call a sunken belt, the sinking land, and the basin formed there thousands of years ago, because that's a great Moorool.
That's amazing. So in your book, have you matched up all these stories plus the more recent scientific discoveries that back that all up?
That's right.
That's extraordinary. And
well,
is this...
the way it is, there's no doubt about it. You can actually draw a map of that Moorool, and it comes all the way out here to Warrielly. It starts down near Croydon. So it's a big lake.
I love that. I love the thought of what the land was like before, you know, we built on it and changed it and moulded it to what we wanted. Now, Mick, you're going to be at Tarrawarra Museum of Art, aren't you, on Sunday the 17th of November? And you're in conversation with Aunty Joy Murphy Wandin. Is that about your book, or is it about the exhibition that's on there, Future Memorials? What will you be doing in that conversation?
Well, there'll be three of us in the conversation. One would be Tom Nicholson. Tom is the one that's got the Future Memorial site up.
Right.
And I probably need to explain that briefly. Tom was very interested in the Corranderk story. At the festival there earlier in the year.
Right.
He was out there, and when he learnt that 1924 was all closed, and that the government said everything has to be sold at a clearing sale, and that included brick houses. So Tom put out a message around Healesville saying, we want our bricks back. He got about 2 or 3 truckloads of bricks.
Oh, that's great.
So they're up there at Tarrawarra as a display at the moment. It's not a memorial, but it's a future memorial.
Yeah.
And the idea is to build markers around Corranderk. Corranderk was about 4,800 acres, so it's a big lump of land, and most people have lost it these days. But at the corner of each of its corners will be a marker put in, and that will tell people about this is where Corranderk was.
Oh, that'll be fantastic.
And they'll use those bricks.
That's marvellous. I think it's such a fantastic idea to bring that alive in the actual day-to-day life of people from the Yarra Valley or the tourists who come to us. So that's on at Tarrawarra on Sunday the 17th of November at 4 p.m. Go up and have a look at the exhibition. Mick, thank you very much for coming here to be with us today. I've really enjoyed it. I hope that you've enjoyed your cup of tea and your rock cake.
Certainly.
Now, I'm sorry,
We're a bit on the hard side, but
that's
very tasty though.
Oh, goodness me. Now, I just have to tell you, it's a community radio station, Mick, so I'm sorry, as you go out, you've got to do the washing up.
Oh, well, here we go again.
Yeah, that's it, I'm sorry.
Can I get away from it?
Thank you so much, Mick.
Thank you very much, Gilly.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Excellent.
That was great.
I'm Michael Allen.